Bonjour tout le monde. My name is Lynetta, and this is day 2 of me on this road to monetization on YouTube and working hard to achieve all of my goals and my dreams starting in 2025. If you see me over here, my dog, he wants to be on the video or something. He's so cute, he should. Anyway, I started this journey just yesterday, so I want to give you some updates on how things are going so far. But I was really inspired by Dante London. I put his link in the original video, my original video from yesterday. And I was really inspired by him and his partner, their joy, their sharing their ideas and strategies. And normally when folks show strategies, there are all of these other very high-tech things. But it was very simple. He said, look, grab your camera, turn it this way, press record, and just talk. And so I've been doing that. But as I continued to do that last night, I was really inspired again by just giving it a try. I shared in a previous video that my intention for 2025 is to take risk. I have a lot of dreams. I have a lot of things that I want to accomplish as a writer. But I've also realized that I freeze a lot. Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. I'm a freezer. And so my committing to taking risk in 2025 is going to be huge. So last night I continued to watch other videos, and then I came across even more videos just kind of confirming what Dante had shared in his video, which was great. And then something very interesting happened. Creativity just pop. And some of the things that I was doing before, I just returned to, and I thought, okay, something is happening here. So in 2020, I was finishing up my last year as a teacher. I taught for 15 years here in the city, primarily in Black density schools, with much success. I actually love what I did. I just didn't love the system. And so I had to get out of there. And my kids and I were on to this really great year. We had read, I taught middle school. We had read Anne Frank, so that they can kind of understand like the historical context of a thing and also narrative writing. And then we went into this other book called Push Out, the criminalization of Black girls in schools, so that they can understand how one idea or one observation could spark research, and could spark research that could address or create or address a problem that's happening in society, and even kind of point to some resolution in that regard. Well, things started to kind of heat up around that because it was a mixed, diverse school, and so some parents didn't want to talk to their kids about those topics. Be that as it may, as we were entering into the last trimester, if you will, of that school year, COVID hit, and we were not in the classroom, and this was new territory for everyone. And over the years, I noticed that it helped my students' comprehension to hear me read. And so in an effort to make sure that my students didn't feel so displaced or neglected or separate from me, we were entering into that last trimester of school reading Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. If you've read it, you know it's pretty heavy context, pretty heavy text, but it was just right for what we were trying to accomplish that year. So COVID hit, understanding the text was heavy. I wanted to make sure that my students were still successful. So I started a YouTube channel in which I simply read the chapters of the book. and then I shared it with my students. And then we were able to have, you know, Zooms and then discuss the book, so on and so forth. What I didn't realize was there were more than just my students wanting to hear this story. One of the things I'm really proud about is that some people who have some accessibility needs, be it financial or be it so they can't necessarily afford Audible, or be it some sight limitations, people had great and expressed great appreciation for my voice and then hearing me read. And, you know, that was kind of that. And then, I don't know, maybe a year or two, 2022, for some reason, occasionally I would get notifications from people saying, oh, thank you for this. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And I was telling someone, because again, around that time, people were like, oh, remember that book? It's so very telling about what's going on in the world. And I was like, oh yeah, if you want, I did a YouTube channel with the book on there. Go take a listen. No biggie, no big whoop. So maybe I want to say about around that time, 2022, I went back and I took a look at, you know, what was kind of happening over here. And there were like 15,000 views on one of the chapters that I read. I think it's even 80K views. And I was just like, wow, you know, that's really cool. Like, can I do something with that? And then periodically here and there, I would get a notion, or I would have an idea, and I would share something. One of my favorite stories, or short stories, by Derek Bell in his collection, short story collection, Faces at the Bottom of the Well, is Space Traders. And I thought that too was very telling of the time. So yeah, I'll read that. That has, it doesn't have 80,000 views, but it is a nice little number. And some of my subscribers, I had been promising that I'm going to read this book, and then I'm going to read, this whole channel can be committed to Octavia E. Butler. But then I didn't. So I went back last night, even after I did my, you know, kind of homework, and I did my first video. And again, taking risk, I was so inspired that I was like, oh, let me see what's happening with these other videos. And so I went back and I did some reading. I started reading the first book in Octavia E. Butler's Xenogenesis series, entitled Dawn. There was already like some of the first initial chapters on there that I hadn't even like published. They were just there. So if you go on and you see the first chapter, it's going to say 4 years ago, and then the chapters 2 and 3 are going to say last night, yesterday. And so that's something that I want to continue to do, because as I was looking at analytics, people apparently like to hear me read. And so that's something also that I love to do. So it just kind of makes sense. And then it really dawned on me that I'm so close to monetization, but yet so very far away. And my being far away is because I'm lacking this very important step. And as I like to say, it's not rocket science, but this very important step is consistency. I post if and when I feel like it, if I have time, you know, I don't know, every blue moon, as they say. But that's interesting because it's been like a lot of moons happening lately, but it's probably even rarer than a blue moon at this point. And so I posted a 20-minute video yesterday, and then my goal is to continue to do that. And I was looking at my analytics. That's the part I wanted to get to. And in this year alone, I've already met the 4,000 hour listening, whatever that's called. I'm sorry. The hours of folks really engaging in your content is already at like 13,000. And I currently have 839 followers. So I'm super close. But my inconsistency is what has kept this ability to have access to another stream of income, and also to share something that I love. I love Octavia Butler. She's one of my favorite authors. And then to be of service, in a sense, to help people, hear these really great stories. I'm still so far away because I've been inconsistent. And so that is the key to that. It's very, this approach is very simple, if you will. And then I was thinking, what else can I do in 20 minutes a day? I can definitely, I'm always reading, so I can definitely stop and read and share that with people in 20 minutes. I have time for that. I also have time to stop here and share updates and give some encouragement and just tell of my own progress. Speaking of progress, since last night, I have, I think, -1 followers. I don't know what's up with that, but let's see. Maybe it was some kind of glitch. At one point, I think I saw 840, and then it went down to 839, and then 838, and now it's at 839. So I think it just canceled each other out. I'm pretty good at math, so I think that's a cancellation. So I'm at 839. Again, not really that far, really super close. But if I'm not consistent, if I remain frozen in inconsistency, then this will be another dream not realized. And then just looking at those numbers, which I also think is a really great strategy, just to take some time and just look at, where am I? What are my numbers saying? And so when I saw that, again, I was really inspired last night, sat down, read a couple chapters of Dawn, posted that. And then I got up this morning and I continued with my morning routine. I shared in a previous video that I have a poetry feature coming up, and my desire is to share all new stuff. And so I was like, okay, let's continue with this morning routine. It's Monday. I have one more week off from work. Again, big ups to my job, my boss, for honoring rest for all of us. So I started my morning routine, got up, packed my bag, went to the gym, did that, had a nice shower at the gym, little self-care stuff, came home, and now with my brain fully activated, it was time for me to sit down and write. And I did. My friends who know me know that I have this kind of love-hate relationship with poetry. And once again, it's an issue of consistency. And I've been spending the last couple of weeks kind of cajoling the creative in me. Well, the poet in me. I can write about other things. I can create other things. But the poet in me, I've kind of beat up on her, if you will. For a little bit of time, I've been bullying her. And so it's taken these couple of weeks just to kind of show and prove to her that I'm serious this time, that I want us to get back together. And again, that has taken consistency. Started my morning routine, whether I write first and then exercise, or exercise and then come back and write. Either way, taking the time consistently every morning to just sit down with the pen and a pad or the laptop and just say, hey, okay, this is our time. And it started out, kind of difficult, kind of challenging. There was not a flow as I would have liked. And you can make that analogous to your content creation, to your talking to your intended audience, to you sharing aspects of your life. It's not going to be so easy at first. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to kind of wonder, like, why am I doing this? But just keep at it. Again, the key is to be consistent. And so I just sat there, and sometimes I would write a word, or I would try to use some other tactics like writing a list. I had a journal where there were some prompts in there. I went and was like, oh, well, maybe I'm not inspired with this journal. Let me go get another journal, all of this. But each day I sat down to write something, really cajoling the poet in me to come out and play. And so today, with all of this inspiration in my mind and inspiration in the air, I came home and I sat at my desk and I wrote a poem. A really nice one too, actually. A little bit of surprise myself. It was a little like funky staccato type of thing, not necessarily a predictable like rhyme scale that sometimes I do. It just depends on how my poetic voice wants to flow. And then I'm like, okay, bam, I'm good. I went about my day. There's some work that I want to do in my house in this last week before I go back to work. And then as I was engaging in that work, these words started like dancing in my mind. And there was some excitement there because that's generally how I write. When I'm my life as a poet, I can be off somewhere minding my business, and then the words just start dancing in my head and started forming phrases and rhythms and different things. And it's been such a long time since that's happened, and I was very excited. But I also wanted to finish this physical task that I, really have been putting off and really am determined to complete. But the words just kept da 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 da, and I could not ignore this very familiar but kind of how can I say, I haven't experienced in a while, this feeling of like a poem just taking me over. And so I came, I sat down, and I wrote until it turned me loose, until it set me free, until I felt done. And again, because of my inconsistency, with sharing my love of poetry, with sharing myself as a poet, I hadn't felt that way in a very long time. And so that's very exciting. And I'm looking forward to eventually being able to share all of that. And I guess in this crazy ramble, this newness of sharing myself and my ideas and my experiences with you, I am just going to give you this takeaway, which if you haven't caught on to it yet, is just be consistent. Whatever dreams that you have, whatever goals that you are setting for yourself this week into the new year, whether you celebrate the new year in January or you celebrate it at the spring equinox, whatever your deal is, if you truly want to achieve your dreams, the key is consistency. And I think there's a saying like consistency is king or something like that, or queen, whatever you're feeling. But if you really want to achieve those dreams in the next year or so, whatever the plan is, stay consistent. All right. Thank you all so much. And I will see you tomorrow, perhaps, because I'll be back here doing this again. Thank you all so much. Bye.